The morning sun hadn't yet kissed the Lagos skyline when Zainab Hassan slipped quietly out of the Danfo bus, her pressed uniform folded neatly in her handbag. The street was alive with the usual chaos. Vendors arranging a car by smoky roadside stoves, keek drivers honking impatiently, and preachers shouting about salvation through megaphones. But Zainab's focus wasn't on the noise. She quickened her steps toward Grand Crest Hotel, the towering building that had become her second home. By 5:30 a.m., she was already at the glass doors, adjusting her uniform, making sure her hair was tied back properly. The hotel demanded perfection, and Zainab had perfected the art of giving it. Inside, the marble floors gleamed. She carried a fresh vase of hibiscus flowers into the lobby, humming softly. By the time the first guest stirred awake, the lobby smelled of Polish, fresh blossoms, and roasted coffee. "Morning, Zainab." The night guard, Bala, greeted with a smile. "Morning, sir," she replied politely, even though Bala was older than her father. Respect was stitched into her. Her shift had barely started when Mr. Okonkwo, the hotel owner, strolled through the lobby in his crisp agbada. His gold wristwatch glistened under the chandelier. He paused, observing her as he arranged brochures on the counter. Zainab," he said, nodding approvingly. "If every staff here had your discipline, I would not have a single gray hair." Zainab lowered her gaze, a little shy. "Thank you, sir. I'm only doing my job." But standing a few meters away, pretending to check guest lists, was Malik Ajayi, the assistant manager. His jaw tightened. His tie hung slightly crooked, his eyes sharp as razors. Every time Mr. Okonkwo praised Zainab, Malik's chest boiled like hot oil. He was older, more experienced, yet the young receptionist was becoming the hotel's shining star. Staff adored her. Guests often wrote glowing reviews, mentioning her name specifically. And worst of all, Malik had overheard the owner casually telling a shareholder, "That girl has leadership in her blood. I may just make her front desk supervisor." That was a position Malik had been chasing for years. That evening, while staff celebrated Zainab's commendation, Malik sat alone in his office, staring at the city lights through his window. His reflection in the glass twisted with bitterness. "She thinks she can outshine me," he whispered. His voice was low, but venom laced every word. "I will make sure she loses everything before she even climbs higher." The hum of Lagos at night filled the silence, generators roaring, traffic still thick. Malik leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing. A plan was already forming. Saturday nights at Grand Crest Hotel were always lively. Businessmen booked expensive suites. Politicians came in secret with their companions, and wealthy travelers filled the restaurant with the smell of imported wine. Among the guests that weekend was Madame Teresa Obianuju, a woman whose wealth spoke louder than her voice. She walked into the lobby in a flowing green lace gown, her fingers stacked with gold rings, her neck glittering with a diamond choker. Every step she took screamed superiority. "Manager," she snapped at Malik, who hurried toward her like a loyal servant. "Yes, welcome back to Grand Crest. I don't want nonsense this time. Keep my suite perfect. And this." She lifted a small velvet box from her clutch and opened it. Inside lay a diamond necklace that shimmered under the lobby's chandelier. "This is worth more than some people's yearly salary. I want it safe." Several staff gasped quietly. Malik bowed, but his mind was already racing. A priceless necklace, the perfect weapon for his plan. That night, Madame Teresa dined in the hotel restaurant, showing off the necklace like a trophy. Guests marveled. Zainab, stationed at the front desk, caught snippets of her boastful voice. "This piece? Imported from Dubai. Worth millions." Zainab only smiled politely, focusing on her duty. She didn't envy wealth. Her pride came from hard work. But by dawn, chaos erupted. Madame Teresa stormed into the lobby, hair undone, robe flapping. "My necklace!" she screamed. "It's gone! Someone stole it!" Panic spread through the hotel. Security rushed to her room. Malik appeared instantly, his voice calm but firm. "Don't worry. We'll find the thief." His eyes slid toward Zainab, who froze. For the first time, she felt Malik's gaze pierce through her like a knife. Within minutes, hotel security began searching staff lockers. Tension filled the air. Housekeepers fidgeted nervously. Bellboys exchanged anxious glances. Zainab stood silently, heart racing. She had nothing to hide, but as they drew closer to her locker, a strange dread crept into her bones. The guard inserted the master key. The door swung open. Gasps tore through the room. There, wrapped in a white handkerchief, lay Madame Theresa's diamond necklace. Zainab staggered back. No, this isn't mine. Madame Theresa snatched it up, shrieking. This is it. This is my necklace. Thief! The room buzzed with whispers. Staff who once admired Zainab now stared at her with disappointment. How could she? Someone muttered. And after all the praise, another whispered. Zainab's knees gave way. Tears blurred her vision. Please, believe me, I don't know how it got there. But Malik stepped forward, sighing dramatically. It pains me to say this, but the evidence is undeniable. We must protect the hotel's reputation. His words sealed her fate in the eyes of many. Dragged into the grand lobby, Zainab felt the weight of every eye on her. Guests whispered behind their glasses of champagne. Madame Theresa paraded the necklace like a hunter with a trophy. Call the police, she demanded. She must be punished. Mr. Okonkwo arrived, his face red with fury. Zainab, after everything, after my trust. She fell to her knees before him. Sir, please, I swear on my mother's life, I didn't do this. But Malik's voice cut through the air like a blade. Sir, the necklace was in her locker. What more proof do we need? The crowd nodded. To them, it was open and shut. With trembling hands, Mr. Okonkwo signed her dismissal on the spot. You're finished here. Leave before I call the police. Gasps rippled through the lobby. Some staff turned away, unable to watch her cry. Zainab's world crumbled. She had lost her job, her reputation, and perhaps her future. As she walked out in disgrace, Malik's lips curled into the faintest smile. His plan was working perfectly. Word spread like wildfire. By evening, the entire neighborhood knew. Zainab returned home to whispers and stays. Her mother, Mama Hassan, collapsed into a chair, clutching her wrapper. My daughter? A thief? Zainab hugged her tightly, sobbing. Mama, please, you must believe me. I didn't do it. Her younger brother, Musa, looked torn. Neighbors gossiped outside their door, their voices cruel. She was always too proud. Now see. Hotel thief. But one person refused to believe the story. Yusuf, Zainab's childhood friend. A tall, quiet man with sharp eyes. He visited that night, brushing past the gossiping neighbors. Z, he said softly, using her nickname. I know you didn't do it. You're not a thief. Zainab wiped her tears. But everyone thinks I am. Even Mr. Okonkwo. Malik made sure of that. Yusuf frowned. Malik, him, I remember seeing him near the staff lockers yesterday evening. Too close. Too suspicious. Her eyes widened. Hope flickered faintly. You think he planted it? Yusuf nodded slowly. Yes, and if he did, we'll prove it. But first, where were you at the exact time Madame Theresa claims a necklace went missing? Zainab's mind raced back. She remembered clearly. Her mother had fallen sick that evening, and she had rushed her to the local clinic. Her lips trembled as she whispered, I wasn't even at the hotel then. I was with Mama. Yusuf's eyes hardened with determination. Then that's your alibi, and together we'll burn his lies to the ground. The first seed of Zainab's comeback had been planted. The news of Zainab's disgrace spread faster than wildfire in Harmattan season. At the market, women whispered as she passed. In church on Sunday, even the pastor's sermon about forgiveness felt like it had hidden arrows aimed at her. See thief we day pretend holy, one woman muttered as Zainab walked by. Her younger brother Musa clenched his fists, ready to fight. But Zainab squeezed his arm. Don't. They want to see us break. Meanwhile, back at Grand Crest Hotel, Malik bathed in quiet glory. Guests praised his sharp eyes for catching a thief. Mr. Okonkwo even clapped him on the back. Well done, Malik. You save our reputation. But behind closed doors, staff gossiped. Not everyone was convinced. Zainab? A thief? That girl too disciplined for that. Bala, the night guard, whispered to a housekeeper. Maybe Malik get hand inside, the housekeeper replied cautiously. Rumors spread both ways, but louder were the voices branding her guilty. At night, Zainab sat in the small room she shared with her mother and brother. She replayed the moment the necklace was found in her locker again and again. Her chest tightened with helplessness until Yusuf's words echoed in her mind. If you weren't there, then you have an alibi. We'll prove it. The whispers of Lagos could crush her or fuel her fight. Mama Hassan had aged 10 years in 2 days. She barely ate, barely spoke. Sitting on her raffia chair, she clutched her rosary beads. "My daughter, why would they lie against you?" she asked, voice breaking. Zainab knelt beside her. "Mama, I don't know, but I'll clear my name. For you, for us." The shame hurt Mama more than the sickness in her chest. Neighbors who once borrowed salt or palm oil now avoided their door. Musa fought at school after boys called him thief's brother. That night, Zainab tucked Mama in. The memory came rushing back. The night of the theft, she had been right here, fanning her fever, then rushing her to the clinic. Her fists clenched. "That's the truth I'll hold on to. That's what will set me free." Yusuf arrived with suya and bread, sitting cross-legged on the floor. He was family, even if not by blood. "Tomorrow, we start," he said firmly. "Clinic records, witnesses, anything to prove you weren't there when the necklace disappeared." Zainab nodded, wiping her tears. For the first time since the scandal, she felt a spark of hope morning heat press down on Lagos as Zainab and Yusuf entered the local clinic. The waiting area buzzed with mothers carrying babies, men coughing into handkerchiefs, and nurses shouting patients' names. At the reception, a tired nurse squinted at them. "Yes? What do you want?" Zainab swallowed her fear. "That night, Saturday evening, I brought my mother here. She was very sick. Please, check the records." The nurse tapped her keyboard lazily. Then she paused. "Yes, here. Hassan Mariam. Registered 7:42 p.m. You were the one who signed her in." Zainab nodded quickly. "Yes, that's me." The nurse printed the log. Her name and signature were right there. Proof. Her hands trembled as she held it. "Thank you," she whispered. But Yusuf wasn't done. "Can anyone here remember seeing her?" The nurse looked around. Another young nurse raised her hand shyly. "I remember. She sat in the hallway, crying. I offered her water." Zainab's eyes widened with gratitude. You'd be willing to say that if needed." The nurse nodded. Outside, Zainab clutched the hospital paper like a treasure. For the first time since the nightmare began, she could breathe. "My alibi," she whispered. Yusuf smiled. "Step 1. We're just beginning." Yusuf wasn't satisfied. "We need more. Something directly tying Malik to this setup." They visited Bala, the night guard, who lowered his voice as he spoke. "That evening, I saw Malik loitering near the lockers. I thought it was strange, but he said he was checking security." "Security?" Yusuf asked. "Then let's check the cameras." They approached the hotel's small security office, but the guard there shook his head. "Olga, the CCTV near the lockers was off that night. No footage." Zainab's stomach dropped. Too convenient. "Off? Why?" The guard hesitated. "Somebody tampered with the system. Power was fine everywhere else. Only that section went blank." Yusuf's eyes narrowed. "And let me guess, Malik was the last one near there." The guard looked away but didn't deny it. It was enough. Malik's hero story was cracking. As they left, Zainab whispered, "The truth is on our side. We just have to push harder." Armed with hospital records, a nurse witness, and Bala's testimony about Malik, Zainab felt her strength return. She ironed her uniform, the same one she had been disgraced in, and marched into Grand Crest Hotel with Yusuf by her side. Gasps echoed as staff and guests saw her enter. Some whispered, others sneered. But Zainab walked tall. She would not bow this time. In the lobby, Malik froze when he saw her. He forced a laugh. "You again? Have you come to beg for mercy? The police should be your next stop." Zainab's voice rang out, steady and loud. I didn't steal that necklace, and I can prove it. The lobby went silent. Mr. Okonkwo appeared from the elevator, frowning deeply. Zainab, you dare show your face here after disgracing us? She held up the hospital record. Her voice did not waver. So, while the necklace was stolen, I was at the clinic with my mother. Registered. Witnessed. Proved. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Malik's confident smile faltered. And then Zainab added, her eyes locked on him. And the cameras that could have shown the truth, conveniently switched off the same night, by the same man who claimed to save his hotel. All eyes swung toward Malik. For the first time, he looked nervous. The boardroom on the second floor of Grand Crest Hotel had never felt so cold. The hum of the AC battled Lagos heat while a tense mix of faces circled the glossy table. Mr. Okonkwo at the head, HR manager Dees, head of security Chucks, front desk lead Perpetua, night guard Bala, Malik, and beside Zainab, calm but ready, Yusuf. Through the glass wall, the lobby glowed, another busy day pretending nothing was wrong. Dees tapped a pen. Ground rules. One person speaks at a time. We'll review facts, not gossip. Zainab, you may start. Zainab rose slowly. Her voice trembled at first, then found spine. On Saturday, between 7:30 p.m. and 10:10 p.m., I was not in this hotel. My mother was sick. I took her to St. Raphael Clinic, Soyalier. I signed her in at 7:42 p.m. Doctor discharged her at 10:10 p.m. After that, we walked to the pharmacy opposite the clinic for paracetamol. I have the POS receipt stamped 10:22 p.m. She slid copies across the table. Names, times, stamps, ink that could not cry or lie. Adi scanned the papers, eyes narrowing at the neatness of the timeline. And witnesses. Yusuf leaned in. A nurse named Esther remembers Zainab. She offered her water. She's willing to testify. Also, the clinic's register has Zainab's signature. We've made a certified copy. Across the table, Malik snorted softly. All these stage papers. Who knows who you paid? Careful, Adi's cut in. You'll have your turn. Mr. Okonkwo's disappointment sat on his face like a shadow. He wanted to believe his hotel's miracle child, but reputation was a god he had worshipped for decades. Chucks cleared his throat. Regarding the CCTV near the staff lockers, the feed dropped from 7:55 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. unusual. Power elsewhere was fine. Adiz turned to him. Cause. Chucks hesitated, eyes flicking to Malik. Manual override from an admin console. Whose credentials? Yusuf asked, tone steady. Chucks looked at his notes. We're still verifying. Malik sat back, a thin smile stretching. Even if cameras were down, we found the necklace in her locker. That's fact. Zainab faced him fully for the first time. You mean you placed it in my locker? He laughed, too loudly. Ah, now I also have magical keys to people's lockers. Bala spoke up, wringing his cap. Sir, that evening, I saw you in the staff hallway near the lockers. You said you were checking security. Malik's shoulders stiffened. I check everywhere. It's my job. Adiz scribbled. Keycard logs. We need them. Every door leaves footprints. If a master key opened the locker corridor door that night, we'll know whose. The room felt suddenly smaller. Malik fixed his tie, then loosened it again. These children are wasting our time. The guest jewelry was in her locker. Are we debating reality? Adiz stacked the documents. No, we're verifying the truth. We reconvene at 4 p.m. with door access logs and admin console activity from IT. Everyone is to remain available. People stood. Chairs scraped tile. As they filed out, Yusuf caught Malik watching Zainab with a look that said, I will bury you twice if I must. In the corridor, Yusuf whispered, He's sweating. Zainab exhaled. He should. Outside, rain began to drum against the windows. Lagos, washing its hands before the next act. At noon, Yusuf and Zainab sat in a plastic chair corner of St. Raphael Clinic. Nurses darted around. A toddler wailed. A TV blared a church program no one watched. Nurse Esther, petite with a quick kindness in her eyes, emerged from triage and waved them over. I remember you, she said to Zainab, smiling softly. You were so worried about your mother. You kept pacing. Thank you, Zainab breathed. Can you write a statement? Esther nodded, already pulling a form. Time you arrived. 7:42 p.m. time the doctor saw your mum. 8:06 p.m. I know because we were short-staffed, and I was apologizing for the delay. You were seated by the window, the one beneath the big wall clock. Yusuf's ears pricked up. There's a clock in the corridor. Yes. I even remember telling you the time. She scribbled, then paused. We had a brief power flick at 8 p.m., but the clock is battery-powered. You looked at it and started praying. Esther finished the statement, signed, dated. Then, as if heaven decided to hand them an extra thread, the clinic supervisor walked by and recognized Zainab too. You were crying, he said, matter of fact, when the doctor pushed your mother in a wheelchair. I remember asking Esther to get you water. He wrote an attestation as well, stamping it with the clinic seal. Back outside, Yusuf opened Google Maps on his phone, tracing the route from Grand Crest, Victoria Island, to Suyalir at Saturday rush hour. Minimum 35 to 50 minutes. More, if traffic. There's no way you stole a necklace at 8 p.m., hid it in a locker, then teleported to Suyalir to register your mother at 7:42. Time doesn't bend. Zainab half laughed, half cried. Thank you. They crossed to the pharmacy. The attendant, a tall woman named Ngozi, pulled the POS slip again and wrote a note. 10:22 p.m., paracetamol, amoxil, stamped with the shop's address. At a kiosk nearby, Yusuf bought a plastic folder. Evidence deserves respect. As they headed back, a Danfo conductor yelled, CMS! CMS! And the pair exchanged a look. How many evenings had Zainab taken that same shout home with her? Today, each sound felt like a brick she was placing in the foundation of her freedom. Back at the hotel, Perpetua pulled Zainab aside in the lobby. I knew you couldn't do it, she whispered. He's been edgy since morning, snapping at everyone. Malik, Zainab asked. Perpetua nodded, like a man wrestling with a ghost. Zainab straightened, wiped her palms on her skirt, and walked toward the lift. The boardroom at 4 p.m. would be more than a meeting. It would be a mirror, and mirrors don't negotiate. At 4 p.m., the same faces took their seats. But this time, Adiz had a stack of printed logs and an IT specialist hovering nearby, smelling faintly of soda and coffee. Let's begin, she said. Do access logs first. The IT specialist slid copies around. Staff locker corridor door opened at 8:03 p.m. using master key A. That key is assigned to the assistant manager. All eyes moved like magnets to Malik. His smile was thin, his words quicker than usual. I do rounds. Random checks. Chucks raised a hand. Voice measured. Except master key A is sign out only when necessary. And on Saturday, the sign-out sheet says VIP audit, signed by you at 7:50 p.m. Another paper slid. Malik's signature glared back at him. Adiz didn't look up. Now the CCTV admin logs. The IT specialist clicked his pen. Camera 12, covering the locker corridor, was disabled at 7:55 p.m. from the front office workstation with admin credentials M.Ajayi. He paused. Two-factor authentication was sent to the registered number ending 902. Chairs creaked. The room filled with a silence that chewed. Whose number ends 902? Adiz asked, though she already knew. Chucks answered, eyes steady. Malik's. Malik launched into a sputter. Everyone knows my password. It's common practice when I'm off duty. And my phone, anyone could have. So, the IT specialist said, almost apologetic, the OTP was autofill from your device on the workstation. That only happens if your phone was physically present. Yusuf leaned forward. So, to summarize, at the exact window the necklace was supposedly stolen, Malik's master key opened the corridor door, Malik's credentials disabled the camera, and Malik's phone approved the change. Malik's jaw worked. You people have concluded already. ABI? Then why am I here? Because we're not the police, Adiz replied coolly, but we might call them. She looked to Zainab. Anything else? Zainab glanced at Yusuf, who nudged a plastic folder toward her. She pulled a small, wrinkled white handkerchief from an evidence bag. Same pattern, same stitching as the one the necklace had been wrapped in when found. Perpetua frowned. That brand. We only stocked that in the front office supply drawer. The one with spare pins, mints, and guest wipes. Which drawer? Adiz asked. Perpetua swallowed. Assistant manager's station. Malik slapped the table. Are we now investigating handkerchiefs? What is this market gossip? Mr. Okonkwo finally spoke, voice like thunder behind a distant hill. Quiet, Malik. He turned to Zainab. You were with your mother. The clinic confirms. The pharmacy confirms. The road map makes sense. The logs. He rubbed his forehead. The logs are damning. A knock interrupted them. The door opened. Madame Teresa, draped in gold and perfume, glided in, a small leather purse clutched like a secret. I hear you are discussing my necklace, she said, eyes glittering. Good, because there is something I did not mention. The room tilted. Adiz gestured to a seat. Please. Madame Teresa didn't sit. She opened her purse, reached inside, and brought out a silver key fob with a tiny speaker. I keep this for expensive jewelry, she said, tapping it. A Bluetooth tracker. Very small. I placed it inside the velvet box the day I bought the necklace in Dubai. For just in case, she smiled without warmth. Saturday night happened to be just in case. Malik's face drained a color. And you have the tracker data. Adiz asked, breath-catching. I do, Madame Teresa purred. And it will end this discussion. They moved to the lobby because Madame Teresa insisted. Let everyone who watched that girl's humiliation also watch the truth, she said, head high, bangles chiming. The staff whispered in ripples. Guests leaned over balcony rails, thirsty for theater. On a coffee table, the tracker app opened on her phone. Madame Teresa enlarged the timeline. At 7:48 p.m., my necklace was inside my suite. At 7:58 p.m., it left the suite, not with me, and moved down the staff corridor. At 8:04 p.m., it stopped near the lockers and stayed there for hours until you, she pointed at Zainab, were dragged into this lobby and humiliated. A staff collective gasp lifted to the chandelier. Bala slapped his cap against his thigh. Perpetua covered her mouth. Adiz's voice was clinical. So the necklace moved from guest suites to staff area while Zainab was in Soyule. Yusuf added, and at 8:03 p.m., the master key opened the corridor. At 7:55 p.m., the camera died by Malik's credentials. The tracker, the logs, the clinic, everything aligns. Malik, desperate, lurched for bluster. Anybody could have taken the necklace from her locker earlier. Except she was never near the lockers that evening, Chucks cut in. And the only person with access to both master key and camera admin is you. The crowd murmured like a restless tide. A guest recorded with his phone. A housekeeper crossed herself. A bellboy whispered, Chai. Zainab stepped forward, voice firm but not cruel. You tried to ruin my job, Malik. You tried to drown my name. But truth swims. He glared at her. You're all fools if you think. A ringtone sliced attention. Everyone stared as Malik's phone lit up on the reception counter. He'd left it there during the rush. A message preview flashed before he snatched it up. Loan officer, Mr. Ajayi, your 3.8 million Nigerian Nairas repayment is overdue. Last warning. Adiz's gaze cooled further. Debt. Motive. Malik's hand shook. This is harassment. Personal matters have nothing to. Sir, Yusuf said mildly, your debt explains your risk. The necklace's value, your access, the time blackout. You didn't plan on the clinic, the tracker, or the log stitching you in a circle. The elevator chimed. Mr. Okonkwo stepped out, tie loosened, face ashen but resolved. He faced the staff and guests. Zainab, he said, voice ringing through the marble hall. On behalf of Grand Crest Hotel, I apologize for your humiliation. Effective immediately, your dismissal is reversed. You are suspended with full pay for 48 hours only to rest, after which you will return as acting front desk supervisor pending final resolution. Applause burst, roaring relieved. Zainab's eyes filled. She nodded once. Steady. And you, Okonkwo said, turning to Malik, are relieved of duty pending investigation. Hand over all access cards. Malik's chest rose and fell. He looked from face to face and saw no island left to stand on. But before anyone could move, Madame Teresa lifted a finger. We're not finished. The lobby hushed. I recorded a conversation, she said, in my suite, Saturday evening. She opened her phone, found a file, and pressed play. The audio filled the lobby speakers. Malik's voice, unmistakable, silky with arrogance. Madam, we will make an example of the staff. People need to fear consequences. If you want your property protected, leave it to me. Sometimes, to protect a brand, you stage a lesson. Nobody will question the outcome. There was a pause. Another voice, Malik again, lower, as if on a phone. Yes, yes, bring the master key. Camera? Don't worry, I'll handle it. Gasps snapped like twigs. Perpetua's hand flew to her chest. Bala whispered, Jisoo. Malik lunged toward the phone, but Chucks and a security guard stepped in, a quiet wall. Olga, don't try it. Madame Teresa tucked the device behind her back. I don't like being robbed, she said coolly, so I make insurance of men's promises. Adiz looked like a judge at the end of a long trial. We have motive, debt, opportunity, access, means key and cameras, digital trail, admin logs, OTP, movement data, tracker, corroboration, clinic, nurse, pharmacy, travel time, and a recorded admission of intent to stage an example. She turned to Okonkwo. Sir, this is beyond HR. Okonkwo nodded slowly. Agreed. He signaled to Chucks, who was already on his radio. Security, call Area C Police Division. Request officers. Malik's mask cracked. You'll ruin my life over this girl. Over receptionist. Over the truth, Zainab said, voice even. The same truth you tried to bone. He sneered, a final flailing. You think they'll make you supervisor after this? You think you'll survive in this industry without someone like me? I have friends. Make the calls, Yusuf said softly. We'll answer with receipts. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance, drifting through the revolving door like a change in weather. Staff began to gather behind Zainab, Perpetua standing to her right, Bala to her left, a chorus of faces that had watched her greet dawn with coffee and patience for years. Madame Teresa, satisfied, snapped her purse shut. Mr. Okonkwo, I'll be expecting a formal apology, in writing, and a donation to the Women in Hospitality Fund, in Zainab's name. Okonkwo bowed slightly. You have it. Malik tried to bolt for the service corridor. Two guards moved faster, controlled, professional. He struggled for a second, then sagged, staring at the chandelier as if it held a last prayer. Zainab stood very still. She imagined her mother at home, rosary in hand, the neighbors' whispers turning to regret. She thought of the flowers she arranged each dawn, of the lobby's perfume, of the pride she had felt wearing the hotel's name. Adiz approached her, the steel in her professional face softened. I owe you a personal apology. I should have asked more questions before signing anything. I will do better. Thank you, Zainab said. She meant it. Police officers entered, polite but firm. Statements were taken. The tracker timeline was photographed. The logs were copied. The recording was backed up. Nobody raised their voice. There was no need. The story had already told itself. As they led Malik toward the exit, he twisted back, hatred raw. This city will forget you tomorrow. That's what Lagos does. Zainab's reply was almost a whisper, but it carried. Then I'll remind it every day. The doors side closed behind the officers. The lobby exhaled. Yusuf leaned close. We're not finished till your mother hears it from you. Zainab nodded, laughter and tears fighting in her chest. Let's go home. Behind them, Mr. Okonkwo climbed the grand staircase slowly, as if each step rewrote a rule he had lived by. Reputations are not protected by spectacle, but by justice. Outside, the evening sky cracked open into a soft, forgiving blue. Lagos moved on, honking, bargaining, hustling. Yet for a moment, even the city seemed to pause and listen to the quiet sound of a name being washed clean. The sirens faded as a police van carrying Malik turned onto Ozumbambadiwe Road, but the echo remained in the hotel lobby. Guests still lingered, replaying the drama on their phones, staff whispering like they'd just witnessed a Nollywood premiere. Zainab sat on a lobby chair, exhaustion pressing into her bones. She'd survived humiliation, investigation, and a public showdown, but something still gnawed at her. "Yusuf," she whispered, "what if Malik talks his way out? People like him always find back doors." Yusuf leaned against a marble pillar, arms crossed. Not this time. His fingerprint on everything, the logs, the key, the tracker data, even his own mouth. Lagos police may be slow, but evidence is faster than bribes. Still, Zainab wasn't satisfied. If he planted the necklace, maybe it wasn't his first time. What if there are other victims? What if he's done this before? Mr. Okonkwo approached, his steps heavy but his expression softer than ever before. "Zainab," he said, lowering his voice, "I wronged you. I let my fear of scandal blind me to your character. You deserve better. But you will get better." She met his gaze, searching for sincerity. For the first time, she saw not just her employer, but a man struggling with guilt. "Words won't erase what happened, sir," she said quietly, "but actions can." He nodded once. "Then watch my actions." And for the first time since Saturday, Zainab allowed herself to breathe. The next day, Malik sat in a cramped interrogation room at Area C Police Division. The buzzing ceiling fan barely cut through the heat. Across from him, Inspector Adebayo tapped his pen against the case file. "Mr. Jai," he began calmly, "you're in serious trouble. Fraud, theft, attempted defamation. We have logs, witnesses, recordings. If you want to talk, now is the time." Malik smirked, though sweat rolled down his temple. "Inspector, Lagos is a city of stories. By next week, they'll forget. I can still walk free." Adebayo leaned forward. "You think?" Madame Teresa already filed a statement. The clinic staff confirmed Zainab's alibi. And the handkerchief wrapping the necklace? Your fingerprints were on it. The smirk faltered. "Talk." Adebayo pressed. "Why did you do it?" Finally, Malik's facade cracked. His voice was bitter, broken. "She was nothing. A receptionist. How could she get everything I worked for? Praise, promotion, respect? I carried this hotel for years. And yet Okonkwo chose her. So I made sure she'd fall. I never meant to keep the necklace. Just plant it. Shame her. End her career." The inspector scribbled, unimpressed. "You mean you nearly ruined an innocent woman's life because of envy?" Malik looked away, jaw clenched. For the first time, his power was gone. Back at Grand Crest, the news spread. Malik wasn't just suspended. He was finished. And Zainab's name? Rising like smoke after rain. By Wednesday morning, newspapers carried the headline: "Hotel manager arrested for framing staff in diamond theft." On Twitter, hashtags trended. #Justice for Zainab and #burn bylies. Bloggers dug up Malik's history, rumors of shady deals, unexplained cash, favoritism in staff scheduling. His friends stopped picking his calls. His debtors circled like vultures. His family issued no defense. Meanwhile, Zainab woke to her neighbors knocking, but this time with apologies. "Hey, my daughter, forgive our mouth. We didn't know. You see, envy is wickedness. You are a good child." Her mother beamed with pride, rosary beads glinting in her hand. "Did I not say it? God never sleeps." At the hotel, Mr. Okonkwo called an emergency staff meeting. Cameras rolled. Journalists waited. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "Zainab Hassan has been fully cleared. She was innocent. Malik Ajayi alone bears responsibility. Effective immediately, Zainab is promoted to front desk supervisor." Applause shook the lobby. Staff rushed forward to hug her. Guests nodded with respect. For the first time, Zainab wasn't just an employee. She was a symbol. Her first morning as supervisor felt different. She walked through the lobby in her crisp uniform, clipboard in hand, but the eyes that followed her now carried admiration instead of suspicion. Supervisor Zainab. Bala greeted with a grin, saluting playfully. "Morning, Bala," she said, smiling. Perpetua handed her a bouquet. "From the staff, we wanted to thank you for fighting, not just for yourself, but for all of us. You showed that truth matters." Zainab's eyes misted. She placed the flowers on the reception counter, the same spot she had once stood accused. Later that afternoon, Mr. Okonkwo gathered VIP guests and media for a press statement. Zainab stood beside him as he admitted his failure. "I judged without proof. I failed as a leader. But this young woman reminded us all that honesty is not weakness. It is strength." The press flashed cameras. Reporters scribbled. Zainab's story was no longer a shame. It was an inspiration. That evening, Yusuf found her at the back entrance, staring at the city lights. "You won," he said simply. Zainab shook her head. "No, the truth won. I was just stubborn enough to fight for it." He smiled. "That's why you'll never lose." Weeks later, the hotel held its annual hospitality conference, attended by industry leaders across Nigeria. Zainab, now wearing the badge of supervisor, was asked to give a closing speech. Standing before hundreds, microphone in hand, she paused. The memory of her humiliation threatened to choke her, but she steadied. "Months ago," she began, "I stood in this very lobby, accused of a crime I didn't commit. I was called a thief, fired, humiliated. But what stood against me was not just a necklace in a locker. It was envy, fear, and lies. What saved me was the truth. And the truth always leaves a trail, in hospital records, in witnesses' memories, in receipts, in evidence. Lies burn fast, but they always leave ash. Truth endures." The hall erupted in applause. Journalists captured every word. Afterward, Mama Hassan embraced her, tears in her eyes. "My daughter, you carried our name higher than I ever dreamed." Zainab smiled, her heart light. "Mama, we carried it together." Meanwhile, miles away, Malik sat in his prison cell, staring at the cracked wall, replaying every mistake. His envy had destroyed him. Back at Grand Crest, Zainab walked through the lobby she once polished as a receptionist. Now she was its leader. Staff straightened when she passed. Guests smiled at her, and even Mr. Okonkwo deferred with respect. Her story had gone viral, not because she was a victim, but because she refused to stay one. And as she adjusted the flowers at the counter, her old ritual, she whispered to herself, "He tried to ruin my job, but my alibi burned his lies." Fade out.